Okay, again, so what's the point of today's video? The X-T3 from Fuji versus the X-T1 from Fuji. Well, why do I have both these cameras? How did I end up with both of these cameras in my possession? Well, it's a long story, and I'm not going to take that long to tell it, because I know if you're looking for this information, you've been scouring the internet, and all the videos are 20 and 30 minutes long, and you're getting tired of sitting through them, so I'm going to try to make this as short as possible, and as much to the point as possible. Again, we will have some Fuji videos coming up here in the future as well. But the X-T3, why did I get it? I'm shooting this on my Canon EOS RP, which is an awesome full-frame camera from Canon. It's the lowest probably full frame camera you can get as far as price. The quality's awesome. I shoot a lot of my videos on it. I like it. It goes up to what is 1920 by what is 1280 or 1080, you know, whatever. 30 frames per second is all I shoot anyway, so I don't do 4K. The 4K is terrible in the Canon EOS RP. It's awesome. It's like in the X-T3 is one of the best video right now for the same price that you can get. Price-wise, the X-T3 is new about $1,200. I got this for $350. I think you're going to see where I'm going with this. Basically the same camera, okay? There's a lot of the same stuff. Now, of course, the technology is much better in the X-T3 because it's a newer camera. I think this was 2014, this was 2018. They've got an X-T4 out now, of course, I'm sure you're well aware of that. I don't do video with either. I don't expect to do video, so it's no big deal, but if I did 30 frames per second, full HD, no problem. I don't do 4K, don't even have a computer that can handle 4K as far as all that memory and stuff, so don't care about it. But if you're doing documentaries, things like that, this is probably an awesome camera for you as well. I mainly just do photography. The only video I do is this vlogging. Without a flip screen, these are kind of useless to me. And what I mean by flip screen, the Canon has a screen that actually flips out. These, they do have the tilt screen, which is nice. Tilt screen, so if you're looking down and you can, look down and you can photograph up. It also, one of these deals where you can, oh, look over there, okay, whatever. And that's nice, as opposed to just a flat. But the Canon EOS RP has the tilt screen, and for vlogging, that's got to be the winner right there. This wasn't supposed to be a video about the X-T3 versus the Canon EOS RP, but I paid $9.99 for the EOS RP and the 24-105 4-7.1 lens, which was a steal back a year ago. Now, minimum $12.99. I could probably sell it used for $9.99 what I paid for it. So no reason to get rid of that. This $1,200 just for the body. The lens I've got on this thing is the 16-80, which is another $600. So this is about an $1,800 system right here. And for photography, that's just too much for me. It's just, there's no point paying $1,800 for an APS-C sensor that is probably a better camera than the EOS RP, but I don't need an $1,800 camera. If I was only buying one, if I hadn't already had the EOS RP, this would be probably what I'd get. So the economy route, $350 versus $1,200 for the body. This is the X-T1. By the way, I've got this little thumb grip on here. I had that on my Ricoh GR3. That thing's awesome. Otherwise, your thumb is going all over the controls and everything back here. This little thumb grip's like 15 bucks or something. You need to get you one of those, regardless of what camera you got. And that's awesome the way that holds up. Just like the Ricoh GR3, it's great. You can walk around like that. That really helps the balance. I bought this for the X-T3, but it's still too heavy, and it's still awkward. It makes your thumb hurt. It's so heavy. This is a very lightweight camera, but solid. I like it. I thought it would be a little too, and I use the word dainty all the time, but I thought it would be a little too light. This lens is the 16-50 X-C lens. It's got image stabilization in the lens, which is awesome because Fuji does not have image stabilization in the camera. They do in the X-T4 maybe or whatever, IBIS and all that stuff. So it does have image stabilization in this lens, which is nice. This lens would look silly on an X-T3 or X-T4. It was $170 for the lens, $350 for the body. So I've got a $520 camera here. I can justify that as a second camera. It would not be my main camera, but this would be a great second camera as well as a great camera to just have some fun with, a boutique camera, I like to call them. It's got all the dials, everything is fun, but you can also, by the way, for those of you looking at these, if you put this on the T, which I've never seen on any other camera, it's T, you can change your aperture in the back and your shutter speed in the front with the dials, just like you could, on, for instance, on my EOS RP. And you can do that on a lot of cameras. A lot of people like the Fuji system because most of the lenses have the aperture ring on the lens. This one does not, and that doesn't bother me because I'm really not a big fan of the aperture lens because, okay, where's my focus, where's my zoom, and where's my aperture? I don't like all that. I like the aperture back here. I don't change it a lot. When I do, boom, 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 change my shutter, boom, 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 I'm ready to go. If I want to slow down and use all the dials on the top, I can do that, but it just looks cool. And for 570 bucks for this complete kit, I like it. Okay guys, and a couple things I do want to point out about the X-T3 and the X-T1. Some of the similarities. A, they use the same batteries, which is great because I bought some extra batteries when I got the X-T3 and I thought I'm gonna have to send those back, but lo and behold, the X-T1 uses the same battery, so that's awesome. Again, both bodies are, I want to say weather resistant, not weather sealed. There's a big difference in having those rubber O-rings and all that stuff versus not. We'll say weather resistant, meaning you can take it out in the sprinkling rain and stuff like that, you know, a little snow. In the cold, it's not going to crack and, you know, that sort of thing because it's not a hard plastic. However, being in a monsoon or rainstorm, something like that, dropping it in a snowbank, I'm not so sure I would want to do that with my Fuji X-Series camera. As I said, as far as the display, neither one has the flip screen, which is a kind of a strike. If you're a vlogger, if you're not a vlogger, like you do documentaries and actual real film, real video production, you know, like a professional or even a semi-professional, then that flip screen's not probably important to you because you're probably on the other side of the camera, not on this side of the camera. But for that video, they do have face detection, which is very important. The one thing that's cool about Fuji is they do firmware updates. I think the latest firmware update for the X-T1 was 2020, and this camera came out 2014, and I believe that's when they added the eye and face detection. Was the 2020 update or something like that? I don't know. But at any rate, they did update. I don't know if they'll do any further updates because they probably want you to buy the X-T3 or X-T4, but it's pretty cool because it does have the face detection and eye detection just like the X-T3. Both cameras also have a microphone port, so if you are doing video, you can hook up the mic. And finally, like I said, neither one has image stabilization in the camera, but most of the Fuji lenses and the manufacturers that make lenses for Fuji have the image stabilization built into the lenses, and what that image stabilization does, you can, like as an old school photographer, you were always taught never to go below 1/60th of a second or even handheld, or it could just slightly blur. The image stabilization allows you to go down to, I think I've taken a couple down as low as you know, 1/8 of a second, maybe on this camera, on the XT camera, something like that, just to experiment. It definitely helps in that aspect. You're usually not in a situation where you're taking a picture at 1/8 of a second, but you may be in a situation where you need it for something like that, and you've got image stabilization if you need it. Even the inexpensive one I got, the XC, what is it, 15 to 50, whatever, it's got image stabilization in the lens, so I'm covered. The X-T3 does have a touch screen on the back. The X-T1 does not. Still has all the information on the back, but you have to get it, access it through the buttons and dials and things like that, not through the touch screen. If you're not used to a touch screen, it doesn't matter. If you're used to a touch screen, honestly, it's not that big a deal to me. Now, one of the last differences between the X-T3 and any of my other cameras I have ever owned or currently own or probably will own in the future, the X-T3 has 2 card slots. If you're doing weddings, something that cannot be reproduced, meaning, you know, it's a one-shot deal and you're done. Maybe the same with a sporting event, something like that. 2 card slots is pretty good. Not just pretty good, it's awesome. I don't use 2 card slots. I don't use cameras with 2 card slots. I've shot some weddings before, but I don't shoot extravagant weddings. I don't shoot, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 weddings. I shoot weddings of family members. You know, half of them are free. I've never had an issue where the card failed. So I don't know where Fuji's going with the XT series, but I'm comfortable and confident in the X-T1 for what I need. It's a solid second camera, and that's what I'm going to be using it for. So, and I'll be using it a lot. I guarantee you that. You'll see some videos on here, street photography and other things. I'll go out and do some landscapes and things like that with the X-T1. So we'll have some fun with it, and you'll see what we can do with that camera. So again, guys, you know, I hope you'll stay tuned. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll hang in there with me, and we'll see you on the next one.